sweet old time with this one. Lesson 4 is know who to call and when to call them. You know what I'm saying? Muy importante. Especially as you get older and you, especially now, as we are going through the line of what's important and going through the chronological order of brand building and brand growing and brand direction and brand fulfillment as time goes. Knowing who to call and when to call them is really important, and it's really decisive, and it can make the difference between making a right decision and a wrong decision. Throughout my time and throughout my process of finding myself and finding our voice as an individual and as a brand, became really important and imperative for me to have and maintain certain connections and certain relationships that I built along the way. When I was 15, I was 16. I was 15 actually. I was 15. Back to my dad passing and situations of that sort. I had the decision of moving back to New York or staying in Atlanta or Covington to be specific, and I made the choice last minute to come back to Atlanta for some strange reason. And when I made that decision, I had a teacher. I met a teacher. Her name was Miss Mockett. She was my art teacher, and I was in my journey, finding myself again artistically and finding my voice and finding what mattered to me and da da da. She was very much so instrumental in me gaining confidence in myself. And like I said, in the past one, consistency beats mediocrity. But to get to that point of confidence within yourself, sometimes based on who you are, it's important to get reaffirmed and affirmed by those who are closest to you and or someone who truly sees you, whether you're vulnerable, whether they're your partner or your best friends, who truly understands and knows your vision, and knows your heart, even if your vision isn't there all the way yet, but they know you. But at my tender 15-year-old age, and with that emotional experience I had just went through, she was there and she was like consistently encouraging me, like, oh, this isn't bad, like this is good, like, no, you have a lot of intention behind it, no, it matters, no, this is really good, continue doing what you're doing, continue to hone your craft. And as I continue to go, I continue to hone my craft and get better and better and better, find new inspiration, find new people whose work motivated and inspired me, and I continue to grow in it. And then eventually she had to leave and she left her job. We still remain in contact. And then I went to college, or I was figuring out my process of going to college. And during that process, I was deciding between SCAD and GSU. And SCAD for obvious reasons. If you want to be artist and be a painter and whatnot, SCAD is one of the most premier schools to go to in Atlanta. While GSU, from an artistic standpoint, is not. But financially, GSU is much more convenient, and it's much more, it just makes a lot more sense if you don't have it like that, which obviously I didn't. So when I was in that decision of like deciding where to go and breaking my neck and breaking my back, I called her. I'm like, hey, I'm really stuck within this choice and decision between GSU and SCAD. I really want to go to SCAD. I want to go to SCAD. About my goals and my dreams of going to SCAD. And she even congratulated me when I got to got accepted to SCAD and all that. And I took my little orientation pictures. And I had to called her and asked her and said, I didn't really call her, I texted her, but I asked her, what's your advice? Like, I really do appreciate and would appreciate and need your advice at this moment. And ultimately, her advice didn't really stray from what she told me when I was 15 of, belief in you, belief in yourself, belief in your vision, and believe in your artistry. And she basically told me, long story short, to trust myself and to trust my gut in that moment. And that wasn't what I wanted to hear at the time. But, as time continued to go by and I was still chasing the SCAD dream and SCAD goals, late in summer, I was just like, I'm going to go to GSU. And it was really late. And I decided to go to GSU. And when I went to GSU, I was so late that when I decided to go to GSU, and I'm trying to stay on campus, mind you, I was so late when I decided to go to GSU that there was no housing. Like I was in overflow housing at that. So they put me in a hotel room, and then they put me in a room at Piedmont North that was meant for 2 people, but we had 3 people in the room. Crazy work. And on my classes, I didn't have any of my required classes like mathematics, English, none of that. I had strictly art classes. So I was vibing. I liked art. I'm having good classes. But That is just to put in perspective how late I decided and my intuition has shifted on to go to GSU. Um, and of course, as my life is going in GSU and I'm experiencing these things and whatnot, I find myself in more situations in which, I need guidance and I'm having a hard time of like certain things, and I have to make the decision of who to call at certain points in certain moments. And of course, at this time, I'm not, a, creative guru or none of that. But I'm making calls like, hey, mom, like, I'm thinking of certain things and da da da. And she's like, well, I personally don't agree with certain things, or I don't, X, Y, Z in certain things. But you're my son. I believe in you. What do you want to do? I will meditate on that, pray on that, da da da. You let me know what you want to do, and we'll take those risks. And I meditated on it. I thought about it. I thought about like my past experiences at GSU, and I'm like, okay, well, this is something I'm willing to take a bet on, a risk on, and I'm gonna learn from this, and we'll see as we go. So I told my mom I'm gonna go forward with it, and the forward with it was I took a loan out. That's when I was trying to figure out if I wanted to. No, that's when I figured out I'd rather spend my time and my resources on my brand as a college kid versus doing the ridiculous things I was doing to get money. And I took out a loan. I took like a $14,000 loan. I'm not gonna lie. That subsidized and unsubsidized loan, and they knocking at my door for that right now. Um, Killing myself, but anyways. Um, yeah, I took out that loan, and I used the money, produced my not I wouldn't say collection, but I treated it as if it was a collection. I literally produced two different T-shirts. Um, and I don't even know where that money went. But I went through that experience, learning and reinvigorating and learning how to trust myself and trust my gut while also learning from that experience. Um, and then as time continued to progress, we're skipping a lot now because at that point I really had no one to call and need to call anybody. Um, when 2020, after my internship and after my job, um, ironically, after I left Yeezy, I was in need of employment, more so out of the fact of like, yeah, I made money from the job, and yeah, I'm reinvesting that, but you need money to make money. Um, and I was looking and seeking a place of employment, and Cam actually before Yeezy, in August of 2020, he came to my pop up. And we connected and whatnot because the city was going crazy about the pop up. I'm not gonna lie. And so Cam came through. He showed some love. He bought some pills and stuff like that. And he's like, if you ever need anything, let me know. I'm like, I appreciate that. I really do. And during this time period, when I was like, dang, I need something to do. I need somewhere to be. I hit up Cam like, hey, Cam, I just finished up the internship, da da da, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, is there any way anything I could do? And he's like, you rather be on site or off site? I was like, preferably off site because I lived in Covington still. He gave me a job from December. I technically started in January, but it was from December up until November of that following year. Or was it November or October? Or August. It was something like within that time period. Um, and within that time period, of course, the bad stuff started happening. Like that's from April. April is when the bad stuff started happening for real. But before that, I was in LA, and I was still figuring out the stuff with my bag and my website and stuff like that. And I had a friend who was out there, and she was like, "Oh my God, this is so cool. Do you need help?" And I'm not a help. I don't accept help from nobody. But I was just like, "Yeah, actually, I do need your help." And she's like, "Okay, well, what do you need?" I'm like, "I need a website, an actual better website. I need, more help with like how to conduct things. I need more connections. I need PR, but pretty much PR. I need like help with how to like delegate and expand and send this so it expands bigger and better." Um, Actually, whoa, before that, I'm skipping so much. I'm so sorry, y'all. So, any of you know Jalen Amir? Oh, y'all gotta know about Jalen. Sorry. So Jalen, when I made the bag and I had the bag in my head, I'm like, dang, this is so crazy. This is so fire. Fire, fire, fire. Um, so I told him, I'm like, yo, like I designed something that's really special to me, and I would really appreciate if we could work on this together. And I showed him the bag. He's like, oh my God, like that's so nice. And Jalen is insane when it comes to creative direction of photography. So from there, I dispatched him. I was like, yo, like, can we please do something? He was like, yeah, let's do it. And he's not a man to collaborate with people either, like, at all. So let's keep that in mind. So he, was willing. We did a shoot, da da da. We did a shoot. We posted it. I posted it when I was in LA. It was like late March. When I posted it, my friend saw it when I was in LA, ironically at the same time. She's like, oh my God, do you need help with anything? I was like, yes. She was like, take everything down. I'm gonna get on a call with one of my friends. We're gonna get these connections, figure things out, da 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 da, and we could do a relaunch. So I got her help, helped me out, da da da. They relaunched in April, and then one of my homies that I went to high school. I met him in high school. His name is Paracosm. He's the one who does pretty much all of our visuals. He's crazy, but I reached out to him, or he reached out to me, and he's like, hey, what's up, da da da. He's like, this is really cool. Can I do something for it? I'm like, yeah, you can. And from there, we built those. We started building relationships with each other and started growing as a brand and growing like within our brand identity and finding our voice, expression, like expressing ourselves. And of course, a lot more has happened. But pretty much, I say all that long-winded story to say, which probably lost y'all. I say all that to say that you need to know when to call people. Sorry. You need to know who to call and when to call them. Sorry. Because you don't want to make the wrong call way too soon or the wrong call way too late, because that can extremely hurt you. You don't want to call someone and say, hey, like, let me get this piece to Kylie Jenner. And they're like, where's the piece? And you're like, well, I'm still designing it right now. Now you look foolish to somebody. You feel me? But then you also don't want to, wait too late and be like, hey, yo, bro, like, is it possible to get a piece of Kylie Jenner? Like, yo, bro, I got fired 2 months ago. I got fired yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to maintain relationships with people, but also exercise yourself within those relationships in a conducive, proper manner. Even so, also when you are asking and calling on people and dispatching people, you also want to be mindful of what they have going on and how they feel. You don't want to, be selfish to the point where you're like, everything's about me, 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 me. When I want to get done, when I need to get done, da da da. Like, we all get that you want to. You're desiring to expand and to push your brand and to push who you are further day by day, every day. But you also have to be mindful of the life that people have to live. You don't want to check in or hit up someone for a favor and not ask them how they're doing. You don't want to be like, yo, bro, like, can you do this for me? Or yo, bro, can you do me this favor? Because you don't know who else is in their phone asking that same question with no type of concern or care about what they may have going on. Because we're all still people, you feel me, at the end of the day. And I personally, my biggest pet peeve was when someone hit me up, especially someone I do not talk to like that. And they're like, yo, bro, can I get something? I might say, like, what do you need? But I'm going to have an attitude. I'm going to be a little sassy with it, But, yeah, just be mindful of, people, what they have going on, like, and truly care about the connection that you have with these people, because your connections is all you have. Your name is all you have in the land. If someone says, yo, bro, I was with Trey last week, and he called me some crazy names. I don't like him. And then Trey happens to ask the person that he told that a month later, like, yo, bro, like, let's go out for lunch. And the guy's like, no, you talk to my man's mad crazy. I don't like you. And now, like, all those things move in a chain reaction. It's like a domino effect. So just be really mindful about the connections that you're building. Be really mindful about how you treat people. Be really mindful about how you approach situations. But also be really mindful about the process. Because I can't tell you how many people, I have been that person, actually, where you're like talking to someone who's seemingly like, when's the last time I did that? I was in a situation before. Yeah, for sure. I was in a situation when I first started, like, with the bag stuff. I designed an item that I will not go any further than that. But I designed an item, and my friend had connections with this company that she was working with. And I'm like, ooh, like, let's pitch them. I want to do the collaboration with them. Like, let's collab with them, da da da. And I wasn't at that point in that place in our career or in our brand to where that really made any sense for that brand or that company to really do. And at the time, I wasn't mindful of that. I'm a Pisces man. I'm very dreamy. I think what I say, when I see it, when I have it, what I feel, you should just bet on it and believe on it. But there's also billions of people who believe that same thing, who will stand on the hill that they are right, and they're never wrong, especially when it comes to their ideas, that's how you should be sometimes. But I had to learn as the time went on and as the process continued and as I matured creatively and, somewhat business-like minded, that you have to be, mindful of the process. Like, it's not an overnight process, like I said to you before. Rome wasn't built in a day. Roads aren't paved overnight. And you just have to I guess, surrender yourself and surrender your ego to that process. Because if you don't, it will definitely test you and make you do that.